Hey guys, it's your local high school history teacher here with another controversial topic that's all over the news. That's the 1619 Project. The 1619 Project, is that the one that says America's racist and I'm ashamed to be America and purple-haired ladies kneel for the pledge? This baby has taken a life of its own and it's become something in the media that it was never designed to be. All right, so I did my research, I read a bunch of articles. Here's what the 1619 Project is. It was done as a commemoration of the 400th anniversary of the first Africans brought to the continental U.S., the part of the continental U.S. that will eventually become the United States. All right, that happened in 1619. Now, to preface that, the Spanish had been bringing African slaves in since 1501. Depending on which date you want to look at, there's different sources of history because we label them differently. There were some helpers who came over who were prisoners of war. There were some pirate crews who were here. They were whatever. 1501, the Spanish officially said, hey, we're going to start directly importing Africans because we're not going to enslave the natives because they die from smallpox too often. I'm not trying to sound crass. I'm trying to summarize a big history class into one little blurb for you because that's the way people like their history. They like a little quick, unexplained blurb that they can grab onto. All right, so in 1619, the Spanish have already tried to start colonies here using African slaves, and the African slaves revolted, killed them all, and blended in with the natives in what's now modern-day Georgia. So this is the first successful implementation of African laborers in North America. The Jamestown colony was founded because England and Spain had been warring against each other, Protestant Catholic kind of things, and the Spanish were bringing tons and tons of gold up from the Caribbean, from Mexico, from places like that. They were heading up the East Coast and they'd hit the Atlantic current and they would dart across the center of the ocean to Spain, where England hired a bunch of privateers and adventurers and hired soldiers or whatever to build a little port city, what's now Virginia, the original Jamestown, and that's pretty much what they did there. They hunted for gold, they looted the Indians, they grew tobacco smuggled in from Spanish territories, and they were a big port for pirates coming out of Virginia. So in 1619, a Portuguese ship, we're bringing in yet another country, loaded down with prisoners of war from a Portuguese Angolan, or whatever the name of the country was back then. That country no longer exists, but it's now modern-day Angola. They had done a military campaign into the edge of Africa there to put down rebellions and conquer some territory for port cities and stuff like that. Well, there was boats with about 300-ish prisoners of war on it, and they were shipping them across the Atlantic down to Spanish-held territory in the Caribbean to be sold as laborers on the sugar plantations down there. Well, 2 shiploads of pirates flying under a Dutch flag. That's controversy. Were they English? They definitely weren't American. They were working for the Dutch. They were licensed mercenaries. Are going to come flying out of Virginia, attack these ships and capture them, realize there's human cargo instead of gold and, cannons or whatever else. They don't have a way to ship 300 people back to their home city of Jamestown. So what they're going to do is most of them go. There's 2 ships. One ship will take 40 of these prisoners of war from modern-day Angola and will head to the Caribbean and sell them as laborers. 20 are brought in a separate ship, and they go to Port Comfort, I think it was. I know Comfort's in the name, somewhere around Chesapeake Bay region, and they're going to sell these Africans as laborers in the colonies there in what will later become English colonies of Virginia, that later become the United States. All right. Now, here's part of the controversy. Part of the controversy is officially, most of them were indentured servants, which means eventually they were set free. There's well documented 2 were married for each other and had children, and those children were born free. And so you're going to have some people arguing, well, they weren't really slaves, they were indentured servants, and why focus on us when the Spanish were making them real slaves, and who cares? That came out wrong. I'm sorry. This is where the political debatable side goes, right? You have one side that counters with, well, what about white slavery? The Irish were slaves. Not in America, they weren't. They were indentured servants. There was an end to their servitude. Yeah, they were treated like crap. They might have been slaves in England, but over here, they were considered indentured servants. Your children were born free, and there was an end to your servitude it was more voluntary or more penalty for committing a crime, something like that. These Africans brought over had no choice whether they were indentured or slave. They weren't here by their own volition, right? So, take that, run with it, make your arguments political, whatever. Back to the 1619 Project. So 2019, in commemoration of the 400th anniversary of that event, however you want to interpret that event, a series of essays was published by a newspaper in New York, right? And it was all Black authors, and it was how this event affected the history of America. You know how we get on a little tangent and we put our blinders on and everything's going to be interpreted by this one topic, because an expansive essay is just too much. People aren't going to pay attention. But if I can pick one topic and run with everything interpreted in light of that one topic, it's interesting, man. We soak that up. We love that. We absorb that. And that's what 1619 Project is. Originally, it was supposed to be one episode, or not one episode, one edition published with these essays and some other stuff in it. But it was so popular, they came back with second, third editions. They kept adding on, and people wanted more, because this kind of stuff is popular. It's like the Harlem Renaissance. They wrote, W.E.B. Du Bois and those guys wrote the same stuff and made a lot of the same statements and a lot of the same things, but eventually it faded out with the Great Depression. But now it's a rebirth, right? Now it's coming back. So the hot topic is, are they calling America racist? Well, some of them, sure. Some of them are not. Well, are they teaching this stuff in schools? I taught the 1619 event today, but I didn't interpret it. I told the kids, look, this is what happened, and we can prove this, and everybody agrees that this is what happened. Are you mad about it, or you want to make it political? That's on you. This is America. You think how you want to think, right? So the 1619 Project, the series of essays, has been rebutted every step of the way. Lots of people have complained. Other historians have written essays to counter them. What you'll find out in a lot of these cases is you look at who publishes the essays, you look at a counter publisher, they're going to produce something to counter what their rivals did, like a Fox CNN kind of thing. They're always countering each other, and they take the exact same event, they make it two different things. And so that's a lot of what the controversy is right now. Highly popular, highly profitable. A lot of people are going on the speaking circuit. Some of these authors, once you hit 1,000 sales, now you're a motivational speaker. Now you're brought in as an academic. Now you're whatever. And that's what's going on right now. Thanks to 24/7 media, you're being barraged by this, but it's always been here. Some of the stuff is 100 years old, like writing-wise, idea-wise. It's just been around for a while. So the question you want to know is, are we teaching 1619 Project stuff as people say it is in the media? Are we teaching that in our schools? You will not find anywhere in the state of Alabama's curriculum where we say we are a racist nation. We have been racial. Yes, we have made racial decisions, but as a whole, you won't find that in the curriculum in your local school system here in this state. Other states may. That's out of your control, right? Will an individual teacher introduce these essays? Probably, yeah. They're just essays. They're historical papers interpreted by certain people. That's what the whole thing is some publishers have released curriculum to get kids to consider. And I'll be honest, on the AP level, we read all kinds of stuff. Maybe it'll work its way in, maybe it won't. Is it god awful and going to make your children ashamed of what they've done? I don't know. That's where you as a parent, as a responsible person, comes in. Unfortunately, you're going to have to read some of the stuff to find out what it actually says and if you should be offended or not. Don't take the media's word for anything. They're there to make a profit. They're there to separate and get you logging in, because anger is power and profitable. I hope that makes sense. At least you got a basic explanation of 1619. What is it all about? It's people wanting to pursue their heritage and rewrite history and focused on just a specific event, just a specific people group. It is selectively editing history to leave out some details, because you know what? You can't possibly tell it all. Our textbooks do that. We leave out a lot of details. If the teacher want to add in, they're free to. If the teacher doesn't want to add in, they're free to. It's basically just one more version of history for you to consider. And like every other story, I'm willing to bet the truth is actually somewhere in the middle. All right, man, I hope that helps. But you won't know what it actually says unless you actually read some of it. That's a hot topic right there. You can hate me later. For right now, we'll catch you later. I hope you have a great day.